There you go.
All right.
Live on the porch. Here we are.
Well, it's not really the porch. We're back at Coffee Tree.
The porch is where we are. The porch is where we are.
The porch is where we
Pull us
are.
up there, Schwaber. So, hey, everybody. We are live once again at Coffee Tree Roasters in Shadyside. The porch goes where we go. You know, I guess I'm the wimp. I don't want to be outside in the cold on my porch. It's my fault. But I want to thank Coffee Tree Roasters in Shadyside for letting us do this. We really appreciate it. We're obviously, as always, going to be recording the podcast as we do our live stream. So we're going to start that podcast right now. Make sure you do this. Make sure you share the video with your friends. We would really appreciate that. Schwab always has the volume on his phone.
Well, he is going down.
Tuning in. Drop a comment. And is that Marc Schwab watching right there?
I am watching our podcast that I'm currently participating in.
So okay, I'm going to hit record on the podcast right now.
And I hearted it.
All right, there we go. Thank you. You do the same, please. So here we are on the porch. This is Coffee Tree Roasters in Shadyside version. And we're going to talk a little sports. Guys, the first thing we want to talk about, obviously, is what's going on with the Steelers. You know, it's a quiet time right now in the NFL for teams that obviously are out of the playoffs. But there's been a lot of talk, and there's going to be speculation, and we're going to be going on and on about this forever. So Ben has said, you know, he's coming back. But there's been speculation, you know, I heard some speculation that, and I don't believe this, but is it possible that Tom Brady becomes a Steeler, which is laughable?
Oh my God!
I also heard
Who said that? Where's that?
I heard it on a radio station. Okay. I'm not going to mention.
It could have been me calling in because that sounds like something I would say.
Who's here? Let's say
hi
to
Donovan, Betsy Kane.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Betsy.
Thank you for joining us. Make
Welcome.
sure you share the video. But what I did hear, and this is not actually Steelers related, but I did hear a scenario where they think that Tom Brady could end up as the Cleveland Browns quarterback.
I also heard a scenario where they're talking about him being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
And I heard a scenario where he's going to end up in Vegas, so he can kick it off in Vegas. So any scenarios you've heard, they must be true because we've heard three amongst the three of us. So there's probably, how many more teams in the league? 32 teams in the league. So probably 29 other scenarios.
For now.
In all seriousness, I think he would probably be back as a Patriot for another year.
I agree. I don't see any reason. I was talking to my son last night. Now, my son is 13, but
he's going to come on the podcast someday.
And he is going to come on the podcast.
That'll be a good day.
But what I told him was this. What I said is,
did you say I hope he does?
Yeah.
what I told him was this. I told him that it's not a Joe Montana situation. Montana was one of the greats. He finished out his career in Kansas City. Actually took him to the championship game. But you don't take the quarterback that was the franchise quarterback, 6 Super Bowl victories, 8 appearances. You don't let that guy go. He either retires or you sign him to a deal and you move on. I don't see him playing anywhere else.
Here's the thing. The whole part of it is that it's not Tom Brady's skills that have diminished. It's the talent around him.
Yeah, that's what they say.
So, you know, you put some players around him and you could have a very strong year. Again,
I disagree, actually, because...
Of course he does. He's a Steelers fan. He's going to disagree.
First let's play out
Brady's losing it.
Let's play out the Steelers angle. Should Tom Brady become a Pittsburgh Steeler if that's possible? I actually love the idea if Ben can't come back because I think with this defense and the new weapons that they have and wide receivers, they would still need to get a running back. They don't have a running game, but I think they could get a running back. I think Tom Brady could do wonders with it, with the talent that he has here, with the defense we have. That being said, I don't think that will happen because the New England Patriots defense is just as good, if maybe not better. But their offense is just as bad. So, I mean, playing the Steelers angle, I personally kind of like it because let's face it, if Tom Brady said I'm coming to Pittsburgh to win a championship in the next 2 years because I only have 2 years left, people would embrace him if Ben truly cannot play.
Right.
Because I mean, who else are they going to get?
Once you put the uniform on, you know, and you're a Steeler, people are going to love him.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
That's true.
And I mean,
but this is totally ridiculous. Though.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
is.
way this is happening.
no, it's not happening.
Right,
No, it's
right.
definitely not happening. But
we have not broken
have-
news
No.
on the podcast.
Breaking news.
No, but I mean, you use Joe Montana. I think if Brady goes to the right place, it could be more of a Peyton Manning thing, where I think he could probably lead
How
a
about
team
Denver?
to another one. But I don't think he's as talented as you guys think he is. I think he had a chance at winning that game, and he didn't win it. And,
That's true.
And
I think he was
and I think the old Tom Brady wins it, no matter who's on the team. But I actually think it was more of a testament to Mike Vrabel's coaching than it was to Tom Brady's fall.
And
Although
that
I'm
team, yeah.
happy to gloat over Tom Brady losing at home and
we all are.
the Patriots dynasty finally over.
How about
after
that?
20
How about
years.
that Belichick-esque move where he was
Love
taking the false starts to run the clock down?
Love it.
Although I will say this, I mean,
He stole
you
it
know,
off of Belichick,
but-
by the way.
Yeah, but you know what? In the end, it worked. and-
That was
and-
that was a Vrabel move.
Yeah.
Not you said how about the Belichick move? You mean the Vrabel?
Well, I
move
said
where-
Belichick-esque.
Gotcha.
You
Gotcha.
just have to open those eardrums.
It's been a week.
Um,
It's been a week. We're still catching up. We're catching up.
But here's the thing, though. In all honesty, it worked, and so it's great. But I actually thought this is actually not a good idea. Like, what if you need room? You need time to score if they score.
Yeah,
It kind of didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think every decision that's made in the heat of battle at that time in a game, there's always the other side of it. If it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't work, what were you doing? So let's get back.
What do our fans think about Tom Brady coming to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Are you guys up for that? Is that something you would be excited about in
It's
this
a pipe dream.
fictitious world that we're creating right now? I think that Steelers Nation would actually
Love you too, Amy
embrace
Ray.
him.
You're my girl.
Oh, and just a reminder, if you drop a comment, as always, give us 30 to 40 seconds to get you on the show. There is a natural delay, and we will do our best, but thank you for doing that. Make sure you share this video with everybody you can. We're trying to generate a huge fan club for the guy in the middle. So
Guy in the middle.
let's talk more about
Let's talk about that other.
let's talk about a scenario right now in which Big Ben does not come back and play. Now, I don't think that he's going to, at this point, retire. I know, he said he is going to come back. That is his goal. I fully believe that his intent right now is to rehab and try as hard as he can to get back to football shape and come back and be the starting quarterback. So, two questions. A, is he actually going to be able to achieve that? And B, if he doesn't, well, what the hell are they going to do?
What the hell are they going to do?
By the way, Amy pitches in and says Steve is crazy.
I know, I got called crazy
isn't
by
coming
Amy.
to Pittsburgh.
Well, that wasn't really, Amy, that really wasn't Steve's idea. I'm the one that threw it out there, and we all know I'm the crazy.
So you were crazy.
Yeah, but that's to be expected.
No,
So-
but what do they do if Ben can't come back? The problem is Ben says he's coming back.
Right.
So they have a limited window to replace him if
Right.
he doesn't come back. And they won't have somebody in that window. I mean, they literally would have to go out and get a free agent. And there are going to be a lot of them on the market this summer.
That's what they're gonna do.
They're going to have to get a backup,
Yeah.
not a starter. And that's going to be a
Right.
problem because they already have two backups that are inadequate.
I mean,
Who's the backup they get?
Case Keenum, somebody like that.
I mean, Eli Manning.
I can tell you from firsthand experience that Case Keenum had like one good year, and that was because they had a killer defense.
But I'm just saying that's who will be available. That kind of guy.
Yeah, he
You know what I mean?
should be available.
Right.
Right.
Joe Flacco.
Manning is not
Manning.
going to be a backup. If Manning is a backup, he retires. If he can't find a starting role, in my opinion, he's so much has stated that. He hasn't said, if I can't be a starter, I'm going to retire. But what he said is, I'm not going to be a backup, which is the same thing.
That's actually a really interesting angle. The
Really?
the Joe
Like,
Flacco angle.
If the Steelers would sign Eli Manning as a backup for $8 million, he would turn down $8 million. I don't believe that for a second.
Pat keeps getting stuck on this whole Nate Peterman thing. Listen, Donovan, if you want to go on that trip, all right, you're going to have to drop the whole Nate Peterman bullshit. My fault. I'm going to get banned.
Yeah, there you go. There goes our revenue. Chris just swore.
You violated the...
There's always a bad apple in the bunch.
It's me.
Sorry, Facebook.
Don't ban us because of him.
Yeah, because of me. So I back to this whole thing. Who do you think could be the viable backup? Do you think Mason Rudolph, given the experience he's had, can end up being the backup?
No, dude.
Do you think he's even the heir apparent?
I said this last week. Tomlin has lost all trust in Rudolph. He's done. When the coach doesn't want to play you and you're clearly better than the 4th-string quarterback, that's it. It's over. He's not coming back.
He's going to be the 3rd quarterback next year.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's no alternative. I mean, the things we talked about are probably the
Let's
best.
talk a little something Steelers that might be fun. This is all like depressing.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Let's
I
talk.
agree.
There apparently is a pretty good chance that next year's HBO Hard Knocks special
Hard Knocks.
is going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, drop us a comment. Steelers on Hard Knocks. I think that would be interesting because there's so many questions surrounding about the way Tomlin coaches. Does he give his players a little too much latitude sometimes? Of course, that was all coming out during the Lev Bell and Antonio Brown issues.
Mm-hmm.
What is his relationship with Ben Roethlisberger? You know, they talk about taking a piece out of New England. They talk about how Belichick and Brady are at odds at times, and I think that's a bunch of crap. I mean, you're not at odds with the guy who you have been a partner with in delivering 6 championships in a dynasty. You're on the same page.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
So I think that would be really interesting.
I think it would be. Honestly, I think it would be great for Tomlin. I think he's probably a better coach behind the scenes than people give him credit for. I mean, nobody knows what he goes through, but I think he would come across as not a villain in a situation in the Hard Knocks. I think he would be the mentor. I think he would be the guy who would be the voice of reason in the room. I think he's much more energetic with the players than he is in front of the media, where he does his platitudes and says the things that the media hates because he loves to needle them. I think I would love it. I think it would be great. I would be surprised if the Roonies, if they have any control left in the NFL, would consent to it.
Well, that's
if
the
they
thing.
did.
Remember the Tomlin press conference where he said, like, it's a choice?
Yeah.
You know, I think...
Is it his choice?
I think he was kind of joking at the fact that, hey, it's not my choice. Like, it's something the NFL decides.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
And supposedly there is some veto power, but how much veto power is kind of like, well, you know...
Right.
You know, we'll let you film on the sidelines like the Patriots do, or something like that.
Right.
You know, if you decide to allow us to do Hard Knocks, and actually the owners have cutting floor ability, so they can cut things out that they don't really want to be shown.
Yeah.
So I would hope that the editing process wouldn't take too much away from that. But still, I think it would be great television, great theater, and the ratings would be through the roof. Steeler Nation would go.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. It
HBO would love it. It would be
good.
good.
Now, does anybody know what this is? Knock on wood if you're with me.
I have no idea. What is
That was John Gruden last year. Amy says Tomlin better not knock on the tables like Gruden did.
Well, she won't watch. They'll lose a very important viewer.
Well, plus, I mean, think about the whole Ben drama, like
That's
going
that's a
through
big
it.
story.
I mean,
Now that
that'd
might
be
be
a
a
big deal.
reason for them to try to say no to that, because if you start putting that drama out there. But anyway,
if the Steelers don't squash the Ben drama before Hard Knocks would start filming, their season would be over
it's
before
going to
it
be bad.
starts.
Yeah, I think I just wonder if Tomlin's going to talk in the same cryptic Tomlin-esque cliches if he talks that way to the players. Because honestly, when I listen to his press conferences, sometimes when he says things, I think to myself, "Well, what does that mean?" You know, like sometimes he says, "You never know it's blue until you open up the book and it's blue." You know, and it's like, so if you're coaching that way, do you think there's some players walking around going, do I catch the ball or do I drop it this time? You know, kind
What
of
does
stuff
blue
like that.
mean?
Yeah, what is blue on blue and red and anything?
No, I think that would be fun. Definitely would be a lot of fun.
The cool thing about it is it's interesting because there's another level of it where, you know, watching some past seasons, for example, I firmly believe that Hugh Jackson lost his job in Cleveland because of how poorly he came across as a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
you know,
and he was a poor leader.
Right, and he was a poor leader, true. But many more things are visible. And then the other side, which would be nice just for Pittsburgh Steelers fans, is you get to see sort of another side of some of the players. So
Right.
it kind of, it kind of gives you a greater sense of community with them.
Their humanness.
They're human beings, just like you and me.
I think it would be lit for Juju. I think Juju would go crazy on Hard Knocks.
Well,
what I
think Juju has to hope for is that he goes crazy next year and catches a couple more footballs. That's really.
Amen to that.
I mean, I just, and we've had that discussion, and we'll save more of that for later in the year as things develop.
I just like the angle for Hard Knocks. I think it would be good television.
I agree.
It's perfect. It's
I agree.
perfect.
Plus, it gives us more things to talk about.
It does.
It does, and God knows we need more things to talk about. So let's wrap up the first half of the podcast right now, and we'll be back after a quick break.
Real quick, Pat. The Steelers coach is Mike Tomlin, not Tomlinson.
Ooh.
You're
Tomlin.
No, Howard Tomlinson. You're
Yeah.
spoiled, Steve.
Who's Tomlinson?
I don't know.
I think he thinks that's Mike Tomlin's name.
Pat does?
Pat does.
Pat.
Pat mixed up Mike Tomlin with LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah, whatever.
Tomlin's son.
So a couple housekeeping things while we're taking the break right now. We're still streaming live on Facebook, and if you're still with us, really appreciate it. If you drop a comment, that's great. Give us 30, 40 seconds. I just remind everybody as they come in on the podcast. Pat's saying it was autocorrect. Sure.
We always win on
Yeah,
that.
because Tomlin would naturally autocorrect to Tomlinson.
It could though.
You must have an infatuation with Tomlinson. That's all I can say.
Schwab's he's the guy in the middle, so he thinks he's important tonight.
He is. The guy in the middle is always the most important
Guy
guy.
in the middle.
So
why the
please
show goes on.
do us and yourself a favor and share this video, because the more people we have watch, the more we embarrass ourselves. I think in the second half, when we restart the recording of the podcast, we're gonna talk about what happened in the NFL this past week, and we have to pay homage to Dave, Mike, Moyo, and Mike really is his middle name, believe it or not.
I know. I can believe that.
Yeah. But we have to pay homage to Dave, a little Pitt reference there, which it seems like Pitt basketball is very similar to Pitt football right now. But we'll get into that in the second half. And then we'll make our predictions. So thank you for staying with us. I want to remind you, you can follow us on Pittsburgh Beautiful. On Facebook, you can follow us on at the Sports Porch, and you can subscribe to the podcast, either Pittsburgh Beautiful or the Sports Porch. So let's get the second half of the podcast started right now. Okay, we're back after a short break here. Thanks for sticking with us.
That was a pretty short break.
It was a pretty short break.
Yeah.
I had a mocha and like 8 cups of coffee before I
Right.
came down here. So we're gonna rock it through
Or-
this, and then I'm gonna go do some Pilates.
Or you took a breath.
And so one of these days, you know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to have a friend of mine who's on the radio. I call him the oh God, I don't remember.
The radio
I'm
guy.
going to try to have Rob Pratt on here. You want to talk about somebody who can talk?
Pratter.
Yeah, he's not going to have a. We're not going to have a chance. So okay.
Well,
let's,
he's out then.
Yeah.
I have a hard enough time with the guy.
Oh, we'll have fun there. We'll have fun. So here's where we're going to go right now. Dave, if you're watching, Pitt, disappointment in Wake Forest, Pitt basketball, disappointment. I happened to listen to the game on the radio. They were up by 16 in the first half. They coughed it all up. They lost in the last minute. They didn't score any points, and it was a close loss, and everybody was upset. And then they turn around and they beat North Carolina, which is a blue blood. But I think it only speaks to what Dave has been talking about, in that the coach that they have is a capable coach who understands what it takes to turn a franchise or to turn a program around.
So you're saying capable is capable.
Capable. Yes. Thanks,
How about
Marc.
that?
That's great.
Didn't even know.
What a wordsmith.
Appreciate it.
I am a
So if you
wordsmith.
have a comment on Pitt basketball, drop a comment down there. Wait 20, 30 seconds. We'll get to you. Let's move on to the NFL now. So we had a playoff weekend. Marc is dying to talk about the assault that took place on Carson Wentz. So let's go right there to the Eagles game. The Eagles lost that game. Now, here's what I was going to do. As soon as Wentz went down, I hadn't seen any of the replays. I actually missed the play. I happened to turn it on just as McCown was coming into the game. And I said to myself, should I text Marc now and say, see, Wentz will never be a Super Bowl quarterback. The Eagles will only win the Super Bowl with backups. You're a shoo-in. So I don't think the Eagles. Honestly, I think the Eagles would have ended up losing that game because if you remember when I made my predictions the week before, I said 2 words win that game, Russell Wilson, and it didn't matter who the quarterback was going to be. Now, McCown having come in and play at 40 years old off the street, that's not going to help.
Yeah.
But so, what do you guys think about that?
Well, let's just first talk about
From the angry Eagles.
let's just first talk about the hit by Jadeveon Clowney. First of all, completely appalling that there was no flag thrown.
Yeah, he did nail him in the back of the head.
This was actually a personal foul on 4 levels. Okay? It was a late hit, it was spearing, it was a helmet-to-helmet hit, and it was full body weight on him. So it was 4 times a personal foul. In fact, just from watching things throughout the week, there was a segment on one of the networks, and it was LeVar Arrington and
Mr. Personal Foul.
it was
himself.
LeVar Arrington, Marcellus Wiley, and from the Steelers.
Ryan Clark, probably.
No, the guy who ran the touchdown back in the Super
Harrison,
Bowl.
James
Harrison.
And believe it or not, I thought these 3 guys were going to say, hey, that's just football. All 3 of them said it was an appalling, awful hit. Okay.
Wow, that's surprising.
And I heard, basically Mike Pereira, who's the guy who used to be
Yeah.
VP of
Yeah,
Fishing,
right.
saying it
Now
was the worst thing in the world. So here's my problem. My problem is, we say that we're trying to protect these players, and then we can't see it on the field. And then even afterwards, what happens is the official says, we just thought it was insignificant helmet-to-helmet contact. Like, first of all, there is no insignificant helmet-to-helmet contact. It doesn't even matter if they want to do it or not. It's a penalty, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's the rule.
Well, and what I heard was they didn't think it was an egregious hit to the head because he was quote unquote a runner at that point. So they treated him more like a runner than a quarterback, which is just not right.
Right. He was already down.
Yeah.
Right? And the other part of it too, which is really interesting, which is the broadcast team completely blew this.
Right.
First of all, they
Had to
didn't
go back and
They didn't even
show it.
mention the hit. It actually took 15 minutes until they mentioned that Wentz was in the blue injury tag.
Right.
15 minutes.
Right. And
I'm sitting here as a football fan, going through Twitter trying to get an update because the broadcast team doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was totally insane. And then you have Al Michaels saying, "Oh, I think he's in there because of an elbow." I mean, these guys were clueless. And then probably the most egregious of all was Michelle Tafoya, who at the end of the game had a chance to interview Jadeveon Clowney. And the one thing that everybody in the world wanted to know was, what about the hit, Jadeveon? She basically makes him out to be a hero. Jadeveon, what's it feel like to be the conquering hero, to come in, you were playing through that core injury, like you want to talk about his injury? It was totally insane.
So I
Insane.
think we've come across a new segment on the Sports Porch. Every week we will have the Angry Eagles fan segment because this is normal. Eagles fans are always angry about something.
No, I actually had a very enjoyable season.
I mean,
But the thing
Really?
the thing that was really upsetting
It was
was,
more like a nauseating season.
the thing was upsetting was Wentz finally stayed healthy, played 16 games,
right.
and look, we knew the team wasn't good enough to make a Super Bowl run. We know that. I mean, they're playing with the practice squad. But the bottom line is, we really wanted to see Wentz play in a postseason game, and we got freaking 8 snaps. We were just robbed of it.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is, look, here's what it comes down to. First of all, the NFL hasn't suspended him. They haven't fined him yet. There's some talk that they might not even fine him. And the big question is, you know, if you want to protect your players and prove that you're actually concerned about player safety, you have to do something. And for a guy that's making whatever he's making, $50 million a year, you know, well, not a year, but as a total contract, you know, you can't just fine a guy like $35,000. You know, you got to take something away that's going to be a problem.
I think you make him cut his dreadlocks.
You could do that,
Yeah.
or you could suspend him. Think about what they do in college. In college, they review it, they determine if it's targeting or not, and they actually can throw somebody out of the game. You know?
I just want everybody to know that when the season began, or when the Sports Porch began, obviously this is a Pittsburgh-centric sports show for the time being. And we did negotiate in the contract that Marc was allowed to spend a certain amount of time talking about the Eagles, because it's only fair. And thankfully for all of us, he has used up all of the remaining time for this season on the Eagles on his rant.
Really quickly, I've made my rant. What say you?
Yeah, do you think the hit on Carson Wentz, obviously it was illegal, but do you think they handled it properly? So let's talk a little bit more about Seattle going forward. So now Seattle goes into Green Bay, right? It's Green Bay? Yeah.
I think Green Bay is going to smoke them. I mean, think
Yeah,
about it.
who's going into San Francisco?
That's
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota's
Yeah.
going in.
I don't think Green Bay's going to smoke them.
I'll tell you why. I mean, as much as, you know, you think that, you know, they would have won the game even if Carson Wentz played and blah, blah, blah. What a joke. With 40-year-old Josh McCown walking around with a broken leg, they were in the game until the very end.
Yeah, but that's the Eagles' defense. The Eagles' defense really played very well.
Well, they did, but I'm telling you, I don't think Seattle's that good.
I don't think Seattle's defense.
I think that Metcalf guy is the next Megatron.
He's very good. There's
He's
no
very
doubt
good.
he's very
Yeah,
good.
there's no
But
doubt.
if you're going to give me Aaron Rodgers at home with a healthy running back and good receivers, I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers at home every time. I actually had them playing against the Saints because I thought the Saints would win. But I think the Saints had a much better chance of beating Green Bay at home. I don't like Seattle's chances.
Okay, I like Seattle's chances because they're road warriors. They're now 8-1 on the road this year.
Yeah, but by the way, did you know that 7 of the 8 wins on the road came against losing teams?
That seems to be your comment about everybody.
But it's true.
It is true.
So-
It is true. So it's really not that exceptional.
They're kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers that snuck in.
like, oh, they beat Miami on the road. Bravo.
Okay, so
They
let's
beat the Jets on the road. They beat the Steelers on the road.
Yeah, so
Right.
let's move on. Let's
Steelers
move on
rate,
now
right.
to the New Orleans game. I think that for all purposes of giving credit where credit's due. Yes, that looked like a push off. Yes, it looked like New Orleans got screwed for the third year in a row. However, you got to give props to Kirk Cousins for finally leading a team to a victory in the playoffs.
You like that?
On a last minute throw, and I have always been a Cousins fan. You guys know that.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. All jokes aside, but I think he's not Duck. He's got the will, the drive, the work ethic. He does have the tools. He can throw the football, and he needed to be surrounded by people that cared. And the previous organization he worked for, which will go unnamed, is a terrible organization. So you take a guy like that, you surround him with a good organization, and good things happen. So I'm happy for Kirk Cousins. So let's take that whole push off thing, because we all saw the replay. It's an old story. Do you think Minnesota can go into San Francisco, and do they have a chance at all?
First of all, I think Minnesota deserved to win that game.
Yeah, I think
in New
so.
Orleans.
I think that was a 50-50 ball with two guys fighting for the ball. I wouldn't have called it pass interference.
I agree. And that pass, that dime he threw to Thielen was just a brilliant pass and a great catch. I mean, that's just a great football play. They deserve to win that game. They will not beat San Francisco.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a tough.
But it is. I think
I don't know.
here's what will be interesting. We don't know what Jimmy Garoppolo can do in the playoffs. He's never played a playoff game, so he could be a terrible playoff quarterback, or he could be the next Joe Montana. We just don't know.
And the coach has no playoff experience.
I really like their coach.
Zimmer
I
has
think-
no playoff?
No,
Shanahan.
49ers.
Oh, Shanahan.
As a
Yeah.
head coach.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, they're an unproven team, but that doesn't mean anything.
But they are young.
No.
They are young. They are very fast. They have a very good defense.
They've got two really good running backs.
And the knock on Cousins has always been that if you put the ball in his hands, he has trouble making the plays. He needs the play action and the balanced attack, and then he's very accurate.
Well,
so,
if you pressure him, he folds.
right,
Yeah, they
right.
got no pressure on him. And that
Right.
was their
I
downfall
wouldn't be
for
shocked,
the
though. I
Saints.
wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota pulls out like an overtime victory.
Okay,
I
so
wouldn't
let's
be
make
shocked.
NFC predictions right now, and then we'll move on to the AFC. So, NFC prediction, Steve, Green Bay, and
San Francisco.
Green Bay and Seattle. You're saying Green Bay?
Green.
Score.
I think Green Bay. I think it'll still be close. I think it'll be like 24-17, something like that. I think it'll come down to one score.
Okay.
I trust that Rodgers will get it done.
Schwaber?
I'm going to say Green Bay in a little bit of a rout, maybe like a 38-17.
Okay. I'm going to take the other side of that. I say Seattle wins 17-14, and Jadeveon Clowney,
Knocks out Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I hope,
Can't helmet
I
to
hope-
helmet.
Push that up. No, I'm never going to predict violence. I don't want to do that.
You're just a terrible human being.
But so drop a comment. Let us know who you think's going to win in the NFC. We got 2 Green Bays and 1 Seattle on this side. San Francisco. You're calling San Francisco for that?
Yeah, definitely. San Francisco's going to win that game. By
Big score.
What's the score?
They're going to get 12 from
12.
4 field
That's
goals.
4 field goals. No
I'm
TDs.
gonna go with some momentum, and I'm gonna say that we get an upset. San Fran. You know what? For whatever reason, I mean, I respect what they've done. They're clearly a good team. For whatever reason, I haven't been able to buy into San Francisco the whole year. I just don't feel like they're for real.
Not a kid's guy.
I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is full of himself. I feel like the coach is full of himself. I have a feeling they're not going to be quite ready.
The coach is full of
And
himself.
I feel like they're not going to be quite ready, and I'm going to say 27-24 overtime win for the Vikings. They go to Green Bay for a clash of the division.
Oh, I hope that's
That would
not
be a
true.
great
That
game,
would
to
be
be
a
honest.
terrible
Yes.
game,
Yeah.
unless it snowed 12 inches.
I'm gonna take. You know what? As much as I think San Francisco overall is the better team, Garoppolo is the unproven commodity. Cousins, the 2 years that he was a starter for the Redskins, each year broke Marc Rippin's records in the year that they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
Did you hear that, Pat?
Cousins has. He is the next Marc Rippin. Cousins has something to prove. He has a chip on his shoulder. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say 20-17 Minnesota in that game. I think it's going to be real
So
close.
you have Minnesota and Seattle.
Yep. Time for some fresh
That's a
blood.
5 and a 6 seed.
Yeah.
It's never been done before.
Never been done before.
You've
That's
heard
right.
it here. That is breaking news.
Head on down to the rivers.
I think
So-
that has actually happened once before.
No, it
I don't-
hasn't.
I don't
I
it
think there was
No, it
one.
hasn't.
No.
I'm 100%
You're talking-
sure.
I think it has.
You're ta-
Someone Google. Has that ever happened before? You need to get Google set up.
So okay, let's move on to the
Let's go to the AFC.
AFC.
Real
So we got the Chiefs
Chiefs.
and the
Texans.
Yes.
right?
Chiefs and the Texans.
Okay, so Chiefs and Texans. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think the Texans did a really good job of winning that game, or should I say Deshaun Watson single-handedly beat the Bills. I mean, to take on 2 players like that on that short pass they threw that some unknown 4th running back caught and ran to the 10-yard line to win that game, amazing.
Hey,
I mean, I don't understand how a quarterback can be that strong. I remember when people said that you can't pull down Ben, like they would have 4 people draped over him and he would come out and he would just throw it. To me, Deshaun Watson is that quarterback.
Well, but he does it a little bit differently. There was really some athleticism with him getting out of that.
Well, I'm talking about the mere strength
Yeah,
of
yeah.
of a quarterback to be able to do that.
Let's talk about this though, because this is really interesting to me. As much as Deshaun Watson won the game and he's a tremendous player, what in the world?
Sorry, Pat.
What in the world happened to Josh Allen? For 3 quarters,
Yeah.
Josh Allen was looking like, hey, this guy's really a lot better than we thought. And then all of a sudden in the 4th quarter, he became just absolutely
Horrible.
lacking confidence and horrible. I mean,
Well-
the lateral when
Yeah.
when he didn't need to
Yeah,
have
he definitely got
it
flustered when his
bizarre.
feet were put to the fire.
Yeah.
He definitely, you could tell he fell apart.
It's
But he did
yeah.
come back and get that field goal to tie it, to put him in overtime. And honestly, I think the Bills' defense let them down. They give up 2 2-point conversions. If they don't give up just one of those,
Mhm.
they're moving on. And when their defense started to fall apart after it was, I think, 16-0. That's when the pressure started coming on Allen, and Allen did not respond well.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
he's a rookie, and so the same thing could happen to Garoppolo this week, right?
Right,
The
right.
very same thing could happen to him this week. Like, feel the pressure and not step up to it. I think he did an okay job, though. I think people are putting too much onus of that on Allen.
But Garoppolo is playing at home, so there's the difference there. Allen was on the road. So,
And it took a phenomenal play by Deshaun Watson to beat them.
to win the game.
I mean,
It
that
did.
was an amazing play. You'll probably not see that play again for another 5 playoffs.
Okay, so Texans Chiefs. I'll start here. I think that I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think that Andy Reid's defense is going to show up. He's a great schemer. I think that Patrick Mahomes he's unstoppable. They're playing at home. They were within a hair's breadth last year.
Yep.
Mahomes had gotten injured earlier in the year. He's got an extra week, and he's the kind of guy that they say you take a week off, you get a little rusty. I don't see Mahomes as the kind of guy that gets rusty right now in his career. So I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs are going to win that game 35-17. I think it's a blowout.
Guy in the middle.
I'll agree with you there. I think this is the year where Big Red is going to get to the Super Bowl. I'll wait for my Super Bowl pick to reveal what happens there. But I think he's going to get to the Super Bowl, which means he's going to win this game. This one might get a little crazy. I'm going to say 42-24.
So think along the lines that I am.
I love Deshaun Watson. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I don't think they have enough talent to overcome the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs' defense has been really good the last 4 weeks. They've been on a roll. I think it was good for them to get a bye week, actually. I do also like the Chiefs. I like a big 35-17.
All right. So let's move on. Now we have. I'm losing it tonight.
Well, you can't say New England, so
right.
that's a good
that's
thing.
the problem.
That's the block.
It's like, okay, who is New England playing
Right.
now? Oh,
Yeah,
New England's not in it anymore.
Right.
They're not.
Let's
So
see.
it's the
So,
Titans.
remember Baltimore.
That's
You
right.
know, there was that team called
Right.
Baltimore.
That's
right.
They
Sorry,
kicked our
guys.
ass twice.
So we got the
you know?
Titans going into Baltimore. Do you think the Titans can pull off an upset here? I personally think they can.
I think the Titans are rolling now. I mean, Henry is a phenomenal running back.
Yes.
I think he will be able to run against Baltimore. It'll all come down to the running game versus the running game. So this is not going to be a game you're going to want to watch unless you like watching a lot of 3-and-out punts. I think there's going to be a lot of stuffing at the line. I got to give the edge to the home team in a running. I have to give the edge. I have to give the edge to the home team when it comes down to running. It seems like the defense always steps up bigger against the run when they're at home. The fans get behind it. I like Baltimore. I like Baltimore in this game, but not big. I think it's going to be a very boring, rough game to watch.
I also
Especially if it rains the way it did in that last game of the season against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they playing Saturday or Sunday?
Was even more brutal because
Yeah.
of the rain we can't work.
Yeah, it's
Go ahead.
absolutely.
I also like Baltimore. I do think the Titans will put up a good fight. I think it'll be a little bit more low scoring than most people think it might be. I'm going to say 24-17 Ravens.
I think the Ravens win this game. I happen to think the most difficult pick we're going to have will be next week if we have to pick between the Ravens and the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl.
Easy.
Well, maybe we'll see. But
I like the Ravens. I think they will win.
Yeah,
I think they'll squeak out a late touchdown and win 28-10.
Yeah, I think what against the Chiefs?
No.
You're still talking. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I like the Ravens in this game. I think Tennessee's playing way over their head. I mean, great effort. Coach has obviously pulled that team together. Have they found their quarterback? Listen, how many times has a team found their quarterback and the guy's just playing way over his head because it's like, this is my only chance?
Tannehill only has to throw the ball 20, 25 times.
I get it.
He
They
doesn't
have a
have
great
to
running
chuck
game.
it 45.
I get it. But the Ravens
There are a lot of quarterbacks who can be great quarterbacks if you only have to throw it 25 times.
You're not going to change my mind, Steve. I've already made my pick. so
I want you to
I'm
say
going,
Tannehill is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Tannehill's going to be a Hall of Fame
There you
quarterback. Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Okay, so real quick.
Ravens,
Right.
24-10.
Yeah.
So real quick, and we do reserve the right to change next week based on who's still in the mix. What is your Super Bowl and who's going to win it?
I've said this already. It's going to be Kansas City, San Francisco. Kansas City will win the Super Bowl.
Okay, let's not pick the score. We'll move on. We've got a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
what do you got?
This is a tough one for me. I think it's Kansas City. I do. I think it's Kansas City.
Thank you for finally coming around.
You're welcome.
Smartness.
You're welcome.
I'm going in a different direction. I've experienced a lot of Andy Reid close calls.
This is
You
how
have trauma.
Don't,
We get
as
it.
long as you don't reference the Eagles, you're still within your contract parameters. So.
Well, thank you. I would say I'm going to get a little crazy here. I'm going to say Green Bay, Kansas City.
Green Bay, Kansas City.
Aaron Rodgers does it to Andy Reid again.
You think so?
I think Rodgers is an unbelievable quarterback. I can't envision him at the level he's playing right now, only winning one Super Bowl in his career. I think this is a year where it sets up nicely for him. No New England in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
It's possible.
Okay,
yes.
it's
not a bad thing.
One last football note here. Mike McCarthy, Greenfield native, Pittsburgh guy, coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Can you believe it?
And sleepover bedfellow of Jerry Jones. You're looking like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't. I missed that.
He slept over Jerry Jones' house.
Oh.
Well, yeah, because he can't afford a hotel because he's been unemployed for
And
years.
Jerry
They
Jones.
play Dungeons and Dragons.
Jerry Jones in his press conference said, "I knew it was McCarthy because I heard bells."
Wow.
So
I
that's
mean,
as far
hey,
as we'll take that.
And Jerry Jones and
Jerry's still in charge.
And Jerry's son, his reaction was kind of like, "Oh my God, please tell me this just didn't happen."
I hope Dad retires soon. But how does it make you feel, Steelers Nation, to have a beloved? Because when McCarthy was in the Super Bowl, he was playing against the Steelers.
Yes.
And there were still sheets hung all over Greenfield. We love you, Mike, all that kind of stuff. But now he's coaching the hated Dallas Cowboys. Now, granted, it's been quite a few years since the Steelers have had a real reason to hate the Cowboys. But given that rivalry in the past, look, coaches go where they feel they can win and where they can make the most money. Doesn't it kind of irk you a little bit that Mike McCarthy has decided to take that job? He could have had probably any number of other vacancies.
So I don't know about
No. It would have irked me more if he would have taken a job with the Cleveland Browns.
Well, okay.
And then we had
I'll give you
to
that.
play against him twice a year.
I'll give you
I mean, the thing about Dallas, I don't even think about who the head coach in Dallas is because the head coach in Dallas is Jerry Jones.
Right.
He's going to have no control over the team.
Right.
He can hire his offensive and defensive coordinators and special teams coaches and all that goes with it. And maybe he'll take some Greenfield guys with him. But the bottom line is he's going to have no control. I'm not on that.
Defensive backs coach.
I could be
Former
a
safety,
flat-
former safety
wide
at Mount
receiver.
Pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do it. I
You
could
can
do
do
it.
If you
Because
hear that, McCarthy, DeFlitch is available.
I'm available in case I hate to leave the sports porch, but I will leave the sports porch to coach the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, to be a pseudo coach for the Dallas Cowboys. That's the problem with it.
Well,
that's why it can't irk me because he's in the NFC. We'll see him every 4 years, and
if he
probably
lasts that
in
long.
4 years
Yeah.
he won't even be there.
Oh, here's the reality though. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time the Dallas Cowboys were really relevant was
A long
in
time
the
ago.
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Over 20 years
the
ago.
early 90s.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's been a long time.
Okay, so we've got about 3 minutes left before the podcast cuts us off.
Yes.
So the Pens. We'll make this a real quick one. Obviously, everybody knows Sidney's skating with the team. He's on the trip. Steve happens to think there's a good chance he'll play in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they go from there? I mean, I think things only look up bringing Sid back.
So here's the thing about the Penguins. They're getting to the All-Star break. It's coming up soon. But they lost, I don't think we've talked about this since it happened. Gensel's out for the year.
Right.
That's a big loss. I mean, you're not going to be able to replace it. There's talk that GM JR is going to go out and rent a winger for the playoffs, which may or may not happen. I personally don't think they have to. I wouldn't want to overpay. I wouldn't want to give up a first-round pick for it. But yeah, getting Sidney back, I think it will happen. He's best friends with Nate McKinnon, who's obviously a superstar for Colorado Avalanche. So I think he loves playing against his friends. So I think for that reason he'll probably play. I don't think he would have made the trip if he wasn't going to play. He is skating with the team. I don't know if he skated at 4 o'clock today. If he did, then he's definitely going to play. You can look that up on your own. But yeah, I think the team is doing really well. Got to hand it to Letang and Tristan Jarry for making the All-Star team. I know Letang had a stinker of a game. I don't know if anybody watched it against Montreal. They lost 4-1 at home, and Letang gave up like 3 goals. Basically said, "Here's the puck, why don't you score?" And everybody was calling for him to be shipped up the Mon and stuck in a furnace somewhere. But you have to recognize that Letang's playing a lot of minutes now, and he's going to get tired. And he's playing with Jack Johnson, who is also not a fan favorite. So I think when Dumoulin comes back, and he will come back in the next, I think he's got another 4 to 6 weeks off. When Dumoulin comes back, you'll see Letang be revived, and he'll be back to the old Letang. In fact, I think he played really well in a win against Vegas just the other night. If you're staying up to watch the games on the East Coast and you're staying up to 10 o'clock, God bless you. I DVR them and watch them when I get home from work and fast forward. So things are looking great for the Pens. They're off to Arizona after that and then back home before the All-Star break.
Okay, so that's it for the podcast. We'll stay live for another minute, but we're going to finish up the Sports Porch podcast right now. Thanks a lot for listening. And you can catch us on the Sports Porch on anywhere you listen to podcasts. And you can also ask Alexa to open the Sports Porch podcast. Thanks for being with us. And thank you guys for watching us live on Facebook all the time. We really appreciate it. Please share this video. If you have anything you want to talk to us about, you can just hit me up on Pittsburgh Beautiful's email, pittsburghbeautiful@gmail.com. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We want to thank Coffee Tree Roasters for letting us use this room. We're in Shadyside on Walnut Street.
Great.
And I got to tell you, the white mocha, it tastes like a marshmallow. So if you like marshmallows, come down here and get the white mocha. That's about it. We're going to sign off. Steve's going to walk over and turn off the little video machine we have there. And Schwab is signing us off. Stay real, guys.